So, welcome to episode 3 of my series on Simile 2D Basics for the Beginner. If you've not watched episode 1 and episode 2, where I talked about the points, tools of Simile 2D, incidentally, Simile 2D is a completely free open source pattern drafting software. And if you want to learn CAD pattern drafting as a beginner, I'll advise you to start with Simile 2D because it is completely free and you have all the time in the world to try your hands on CAD pattern drafting. As I said, this is my episode 3. Episode 1, I talked about all these points and how you can use it and the application cases when you're drafting your patterns. Episode 2, I talk about all the curves and how you can use it and how you can apply it when you're drafting your patterns. This is episode 3 and I'm going to be discussing these arcs. I have gone ahead to draw all these lines where we are going to be using to illustrate how to use these arcs. Okay, let's start with the very first one. I normally use this one if I need to draw a line from a particular point to touch another line, but I don't know where it should touch. When we start drafting our patterns, you're going to really see the use case of this. So let's say that I want a line to come from here, and I want that line to be about 5 centimeters, but I want it to hit this line. I just don't know where it is going to hit along this line. So to do that, I will click on the point I want my line to start. And since the length of the line I want is 5 centimeters, I'll put the radius as 5 centimeters. And I'll put my first angle as 180 degrees. And I'll put my second angle as 270 degrees. And I'll hit OK. So you see, I now have my arc crossing this line. And if we are to measure from here to where it touches this line, it will give me that 5 centimeters. So let's measure it and see. So if I want to come from A9 to touch here, you see it is exactly 5 centimeters. I just wanted to show it to you. So when you want to get a line to be drawn from a particular point to touch another line at a known length, but unknown point along that line, that is when you use this. And we are going to use it very much when we are drafting our patterns. But say, for instance, this line is on this side of A9. Maybe there's a line here on this side of A9, and you don't want it to hit this line, but you want it to hit another line there. All you can do is to just click on it, go to Properties, and then just change this to negative points. You can change this to negative 90, and then you can come here and change it to negative 270. We'll leave it at 270 and then hit OK. So it comes the other way around. So it just depends on which point you want the line to cross, the arc to cross or touch a particular line. So now let me do this fit. Let's see our line very well. So now that we have let's go to the second curve tool, the second arc tool. That is a point on the arc, which is very easy. It's just click on it. If you want to generate a point on any place of this arc, you just click on the arc, and then it will ask you what length. You can decide to start the length from here, or you start it from the back. If you want to start it from the front, let's say we just want a point 2 centimeters from the start of the arc, and click OK. So you see here, that is the point 10, 2 centimeters from the start of the arc. So you can always click on it and go to Properties, and let's say you don't want it to be 2 centimeters, you want it to be half of the arc. So what you can do right there, you go to this FX, Remember our arc is arc 19 to 14. You go to fx, and then we are going to go to curve length, and that is the only curve we have on this pattern. So if you double click on it, let's remove this number here. You can double click on it and then just divide it by 2, and then you click on OK, and then you come here and click on OK. You see that it gives you a point directly in between, dividing the arc into 2. Now let's go to the third one. If you want to create a particular point and having a particular angle, a lot of times you'll see such instructions on pattern drafting books. They will tell you that a particular point should touch a particular point at a particular angle, but you don't know the angle. Most times this happens if you want to do a shoulder slope. You don't know the angle where it should touch that line. So this is when you use this tool. First, you click the point you want it. No, first you click the arc, and then you click the point, and then comes this line. So now you can do it at whatever angle you want, you know, this to lie on. Let's say you want a line that is at a particular angle from A9, you know, and a particular distance from A9. So this is the kind of thing you can use it for that. And then once you hit wherever you want that angle to be, you can just hit on it. And then you can just go here to get the property, show property. And here you can see, you can change the angles anyhow you want. Maybe you wanted the angle to be 70 or something. You can just change it here, and the angle will change the way you want it to change. Let's say, let me maybe put in 60 here. So you can see it has shifted a little bit to 60, you know. From here to here, this line here is 0. So from here to here will be 60. Here is normally 90. So if you have a line here, to be 90. Let me try it and see. Everything is good to just try and see what will happen. Let me put 90 there. Okay, it comes this way. So it gives you exactly 90 degrees here. So you can see how this works. That is this one. Now for this one, I need to create 2 arcs so that we'll be able to show you how this actually works. This particular tool is, I normally use it sometimes. If you want to do something like a zigzag, I either use this one or this one. Maybe you want to create a kind of zigzag form at the bottom of your dress, you know, where you want to create a point that is a particular distance, the same distance from one point to this point. If you want to do the same distance from one point to this point, you know that that point should be the middle of these two. So most times, let's say you want to do a triangle here, you want to do another one here, you want to do another one here, you want to do another one here. What I normally use is this or this, and that's what I'm going to show you. So let's say you want to use this. First of all, you need to create 2 arcs from the 2 points that you want to create a distance, the same distance from. So let's start with A9, and let's create an arc. First, let's create an arc, and then I'll create an A9, and then I'll give a radius of 5. That's the distance I want both of those points to have from the point I want to create. And let's say I create my first angle at 90, and then my second angle at 270. Now don't let these angles confuse you. I've talked about angles in my part, I think episode 1, I talked about angles. So you go back and watch episode 1 so that you will not be confused why I'm using all these angles. So you click on OK. So we have our first arc. So let's do the second arc using A8. So we go back there, we do A8, and the same radius, and then our first angle is going to be negative, because if you do a positive, it's going to come to the same side, and that's giving you a distance from A8. But we want it to be on the same side. So I'll do a negative 90, and the second angle will be also a negative 270. And then I'll click on OK. So you have that point that you want. Then we can now click on this tool, and then we can highlight the first arc, highlight the second arc, and it gives you that point exactly where you want it. So that's how you can use this tool. It is very, very useful if you're, as I said, if you want to be doing something that will be giving you points at the middle of 2 points at a particular distance where the two legs will be the same length. So that is where I will use this particular tool. So now let me remove it and let's go to the next tool. Let me quickly remove it, remove this, and then remove this. So this next tool, first you need to highlight the tool, and then you choose the 2 points that you want to create the circles, and then this comes out, this box comes out, and let's give it the same radius of 5, and the second one the same radius of 5, and then we click on OK, and that's the circle. So then you click that again. Sorry, what happened to my radius? 5, 5, OK. So you see the point there. If you want the point to come up here, all you have to do is to come to the point here, A10, go to Properties, and then drop down here, do second point, and then click on OK. Then it will give you the point right where you want it. The good thing about this one is that it's only when you click on it you see it. If you click outside it, it goes off, which is why I like it, because it makes the patterns less complicated, because we want to be having several points where you want to be doing something like a zigzag at the bottom, or you want to do a zigzag, you know, cape or something of a neck style where you're going to be having several points. It's best to use this one. If you know of any other use case for that, please let me know, because for me, that is just the only thing I probably will use it for. I don't know what else I can use it for. So that said, let's remove this quickly, delete it, and let's do something else. Let's go to the next one. This one is a tangent. This is creating points from arc and I will say intersection of circle and tangent. So first, you click on it, and then you click where you want the tangent legs or lines to start from. Let's start from A3, and you click where you want your circle to start from, and this comes out, and then you put in your radius. Let's say we want a radius of 1, and you put in OK. So that's what you get. Now, I don't know the use case of this, but considering where the point of this is, maybe you need to create a kind of point that is a particular distance from this one, and maybe also another point on this other side, you know. So if you leave it, if you want to create another one of the same on this other side, you just do the same thing. You click on it again, you go to I think it was A3 we used, and then you come back again to A9, and then put 1 again, and then do an OK. And then you can come here. There are two things here. Come to this A12, to property, and then switch it to the second point and do an OK. So you have your 2 points there. Let me do fit. So you have 2 points there. There are times really you might need some very queer points according to the instructions on your pattern drafting book. So maybe you can use that to do that. But if you have used Similitude and you've used it for other things, please let me know. Drop your comments below and let's see how we can do that. So let's go to this one. This one is point from arc and tangent. First, we need to create an arc, and then we can select a point on the tangent to see how we want that to happen. But first, let me get rid of this so that there is no much confusion. Let me get rid of this. Get rid of this one too. Good. So let's go to this one. Before we can use this particular one, let's create an arc. Let's go here to the arc. And then let me use 3 as my point. And then let me use a radius of about 3. I'll use my first angle at 270. And then my second angle at 90. Let's see what that will give me. Okay. So I have my arc. Now we can go to that and then click on it. So the very first thing I need to do is to click on the arc, or click on where I want that to start, and then I'll click on the arc. So you see, it's almost like this one, you know. As you can see, it has created a point here where one of the legs of the tangent touches the arc. You can use the same method to switch the point to this other point. Now, I really don't know what kind of use case I can use this for on my pattern. I've never used it. I just want to show you how this works. So if there's any way you feel you can use it when you're drafting your patterns, please drop your comments and let us know. Let others also know the use case for this particular tool. Remove it. Now let's go to the next one. This one has to do with an arc with a given length. If you want to have a certain length of an arc, just let me remove this one. So once you click on that, let's still use A3, and then you can give a radius. I'll still use a radius of about 3. My first angle I can use, maybe I'll use 0. Let me use 0. And then I need a length maybe of 7. Okay, so that's it. So the length of this arc now is 7, and the angle started from 0. I told you when everything is from flat like this, is from 0, and then the length of 7. So you can increase the length or you can reduce the length just by clicking on it and going to properties, and then you can always increase the length or decrease the length. Let's say I want to decrease it to 4 centimeters. I'll say okay, and that's it. It comes reduced. It's very easy to use, you know, and I believe it can be used in one or two things. I don't know yet. Maybe as we continue to draft patterns, we'll find out what we can use this for. And then the last on the list, let me remove this. Now the last on the list is the elliptical arc. This very last one is normal, as I told you, is an elliptical arc. I have never used it, but I'm going to show you how to use it. I've never really used it during all the patterns I've been drafting, so I really do not know the use case for it. If you do know, then please drop your comments and perhaps we can also learn from you. So how do you use this? You just click on it. Then let's say we want to use A3 as our first point where we want to create our radius from. And let's say my first radius, I'm going to make it 2 centimeters. And the second radius, I'll make it 6 centimeters. The first angle, I will make it 0. And then the second angle, I will make it 270. And then rotation angle, I can make it 15. And then click OK. And that is our elliptical arc. As I said, I don't really know the use case of this. I don't know, maybe if you want to create a point between two perpendicular lines, you can use an elliptical arc. Maybe a point is generated here, another point is generated here on two lines that are perpendicular to each other. It's possible, I don't know. As I said, I've never used it, but this is how to create an elliptical arc. And so, with this last tool, I've come to the end of episode 3. So, stay tuned to watch episode 4, where I'm going to be talking about all these operation tools of Simly 2D.